The Galactic Council chamber was rarely quiet, yet on this day a suffocating silence filled the great hall. Representatives of dozens of species sat around the grand circular table, their eyes fixed on the massive hologram projected above them. It wasn't a new colony, nor a discovery of a distant star system. It was something far more unsettling. The arrival of Earth's first battleship. For centuries, the galaxy had lived under a delicate balance. Wars erupted now and then, but the great powers of the Council kept one another in check. Fleets were designed for intimidation, not destruction, and combat had become ritualized, something managed rather than unleashed. But humanity didn't play by those rules. "This vessel is no warship," hissed the scaled delegate from the Vorith Dominion, his tail lashing against the floor. "It is a monstrosity, a fortress pretending to be a ship." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The hologram spun slowly, revealing a hulking, blocky silhouette. Its armor was layered thick, every section reinforced as though the builders expected it to be torn apart and still keep moving. Another envoy, crystalline in form, spoke with a voice like chimes. "Why would a young species waste so much material on one ship? This is not strategy, it is madness." Yet the data didn't lie. The battleship bristled with weapons. Railgun batteries, missile silos, beam arrays, and more point defense cannons than most fleets carried in total. Every system was doubled, even tripled, ensuring that no single failure would cripple it. "They do not build for elegance," said a feathered envoy, her crest trembling. "They build for survival. Every design choice screams of a species convinced the universe means to kill them." The counselors shifted uneasily. Most of their own fleets emphasized maneuverability and precision. They fought battles that ended quickly with minimal loss, avoiding prolonged destruction. Humanity's design philosophy was something else entirely. It was preparation for endless war. Then the Chancellor, an ancient being older than most civilizations present, spoke. His voice carried over the chamber like distant thunder. "Our scouts confirm it is real. This is not a simulation, nor a bluff. The humans have deployed this vessel into neutral space. It is operational." Gasps echoed. A younger delegate blurted out, "But why? They know we will see it. They want us to see it." The Chancellor's gaze lingered on the hologram. "Yes, they are sending a message." The ship rotated again, its weapons glinting in the artificial light. It didn't need to fire a single shot. The implication of its existence was enough. One envoy whispered what many were already thinking. "This is not a deterrent. This is a warning." The tension in the chamber deepened as the hologram zoomed in, highlighting layers of the ship's structure. This hull bore no artistry, no flowing curves, only cold functionality. It was a vessel born not from imagination but from necessity, as if every plate of armor and every cannon had been forged under the assumption of imminent catastrophe. Ambassador Yelth of the Kalari Collective spoke, his voice sharp with unease. "This ship is not built to patrol. It is not built to defend. It is built to annihilate. Why would a young race leap straight to such extremes?" A delegate of the crystalline real chimed in, her tones ringing with dissonance. "Perhaps it is insecurity. Perhaps they lack faith in diplomacy, so they build monstrosities to overcompensate." But another voice countered, weary yet certain. "Or perhaps they know something we do not. Look closer, the redundancies, the stockpiles, the medical bays. They did not design this as a first strike weapon. They built it to survive." The words rang heavy. To the older races, survival had long ago become an afterthought. Wars were controlled, contained. Threats were predictable. Yet humans, it seemed, carried with them an obsession with preparing for the worst. The hologram shifted again, this time displaying weapons arrays in frightening detail. Railgun batteries stretched along the hull like rows of teeth. Missile silos stacked deep within its frame. Laser and plasma turrets overlapped with point defense cannons, each positioned so that even if half the ship were crippled, the other half could continue firing without pause. The chamber fell into horrified whispers. "This ship is not designed to win battles quickly," muttered Vela, the feathered envoy. "It is designed to endure them, to outlast anything we could throw against it. The Kvar representative, scales glinting in the dim light, slammed a claw against the table. If they deploy a fleet of such vessels, no empire will stand against them. They must be confronted now, before this madness spreads. But a smaller, softer voice rose from the far side of the chamber. It belonged to Sarah, envoy of a minor trade species often ignored in council affairs. You fear them because they remind you of what you once were, before you grew complacent, before you built ships to intimidate instead of to endure. Her words struck deep. Many of the elder species looked away, unable to deny the truth. Once, long ago, their ships too had been built for survival at all costs. But centuries of relative peace had dulled that instinct. Humanity had not dulled theirs. The Chancellor spoke again, his tone low and grave. Do not mistake fear for clarity. This vessel is terrifying not because it is powerful, but because it is honest. It tells us exactly what humans believe. The universe is hostile, and survival requires relentless preparation. The hologram rotated one last time, displaying the insignia etched boldly across its hull, Earth Fleet Command. It was less a mark of identity than a statement. We are here and we will not fall easily. The chamber air felt heavier with every passing moment, as if the image of the human warship itself pressed down on the gathered envoys. No one doubted now that the vessel was real, nor that its very existence changed the balance of power in the galaxy. A younger delegate finally spoke, breaking the long silence. But why reveal it so openly? They know we would scan it, analyze it. Why not keep it hidden? Daniels, one of the Council's human affairs analysts, rose from his seat at the observer's tier. His calm voice carried easily across the chamber. Because secrecy was never the point. They want you to see it. They want you to understand exactly what they are capable of, and what they are prepared for. Several envoys bristled. The Kvar ambassador spat in disgust. It is intimidation, then. A threat. Daniels shook his head. Not a threat. A declaration. Humans do not assume safety, not in their history, not in their expansion. They assume hardship. This ship does not say, we will destroy you. It says, we will not be destroyed. The words resonated like a quiet thunder. The hologram shifted again, highlighting the ship's internal systems. Emergency pods by the dozens, medical wings larger than entire frigates, storage compartments packed with food and supplies enough for years. Even in isolation, this vessel could carry on. It was not just a battleship. It was a survival ark with teeth. Sarah, the small envoy who had spoken earlier, leaned forward. Do you not see? We have grown so used to luxury and ritualized combat that we forgot the universe does not care for treaties. These humans did not forget. They never stopped preparing for the storm. The feathered envoy Vela clicked her beak uneasily. And if this storm they prepare for is us? That question lingered painfully in the air. The Chancellor finally stood, his presence commanding attention. Then we must decide how to meet them. With hostility or with understanding. Because if what we see here is any indication, hostility will not end quickly, nor cheaply. A crystalline delegate whispered, almost to themselves, one ship feels like a fleet. What happens when they build 10? Or 100? The Chancellor's gaze hardened. Then the galaxy will remember what fear truly feels like. The warship hologram loomed above them, scars already etched into its armor even though it had yet to fire in anger. Those scars told their own story. This was a vessel built not to avoid damage, but to take it, to survive it, to keep fighting long after others would have been reduced to wreckage. And that was what unsettled the Council most. When the meeting adjourned, delegates left in silence, their thoughts heavy. None dared say it aloud, but the truth lingered in every mind. The humans had arrived not as conquerors, not as diplomats, but as survivors who had turned survival into a weapon. And the galaxy, for the first time in generations, remembered what it was to tremble.